Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Street Perspective. I am your host, Aaron Streeter, with my co-host,
Bushido Driver.
So we have a great show for you guys tonight. I have an old friend. I've been having a lot of old friends on here for the past couple weeks. But not only someone that I met through the insurance industry, but someone that was an agency owner and has decided to transition into real estate and also found her own networking group. So without further ado, Bianca, Rist.
Woohoo! Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
But thank you.
So how you been?
I'm good. Everything's really good.
Yeah, I mean, skin, glowing, I would say, because we're all here, I am black and highly favored.
Yes, I like it. Let's do it.
Shout out to my cameraman. He's black on the inside. So, so I've been seeing content, for over the last couple months, and I'm curious because I've been, really starting to see you, in the real estate investing space, Rist Estates.
Yeah.
So, what made you start to not step away completely? Because I still have my license active.
Yep, I do too.
But what made you start to transition into real estate investing?
Yep. A few different reasons. So, first of all, I loved insurance. I loved what we did. I loved, training and mentoring and just the whole vibe of everything that we did in the insurance industry. I think for me, a few different things occurred, and I was kind of having this transition. Yeah. One was just being very honest with myself about what I like and what I don't like. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Things I want to do, things I don't want to do. And taking more of the path of least resistance when it comes to actually living my life, right? Yeah. And what I mean by that is if I'm forcing myself to do things I don't like doing, like recruit, why do I need to spend the next, 20, 30 years doing something that I don't absolutely love? Why not just be more honest with myself? And I think a lot of times we get started in ventures, we start doing things, and we're not honest with ourselves. And we end up losing a lot of time. Yeah. Now, it doesn't take away from anything because I learned a lot. I don't think I'd be as far as fast as I am now with the real estate side if it wasn't for the insurance industry. Yeah. Yeah. So I learned a lot. And there was actually a quote that I saw the other day that said, don't be afraid to start over because now you're starting over with experience.
Yes. Yes.
Right? So that was kind of one thing, was just being honest with myself about what I wanted to do and didn't want to do. And then two, I started to think bigger in the sense of there's a guy that I follow called Alex Hormozy. He's blowing up. He's everywhere.
Is that the guy that he built the gym business?
Yes.
Yep. Oh, that guy. Yeah, I like him.
Yep. So I actually started listening to him before he's just kind of blown up recently. But I started listening to him before everybody kind of started knowing who he is. And he actually did a video about the difference between the way that millionaires think and the way that billionaires think. And he said billionaires don't get caught up in the small peanuts, meaning, in what we did in insurance, it was a lot to us to make, $1 million a year, right? Or $2 million a year. Yeah. And he's saying, billionaires, if you can't grow and scale a business in 5 years and get out, it's not a good business model.
Wow. That's a whole different mindset.
It's a whole different mindset.
You'd be 5 years in with a smaller mindset and not even realize where the top is.
Exactly. So my mind was completely blown, and that's where I started kind of thinking bigger and thinking differently. And I'm thinking, okay, if I stay in insurance, this is my life. You guys know more than anything. It was 6, 7 in the morning until midnight. Yeah. And then we have closeout nights where we're there until 2, 3, 4 in the morning, right?
Yep. And the reward for being good at that is you get to do more of it.
Exactly. So for me in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, there's no end to this. I can't continue to grow this insurance office and be able to step away in 5 years. Even if you look at the biggest guys in our company,
they have to
run. You can't
who
get out.
And that's why they're the biggest guys. If they're not at an event, if they're not showing up, if they're not putting out content, what's wrong? what happened.
Is
he okay?
Exactly.
Was in a car accident?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like every second, it's got to be about you.
Look at Bezos,
Yeah.
Amazon. Hello,
Is he-
biggest
is
company
he
in the
even
world.
on the planet right now? I don't know.
He's
Is he is?
gone. He's gone. Right. Like we don't know, but he's not working at Amazon anymore. So what can I do to allow myself to scale and build a business that I can step away from and still be financially free and still make millions, not just millions. I can get to hundreds of millions. I can get to billions if I want to, if I work hard enough, right? So that was kind of the initial like switch in mindset, I would say. And then I had my dad was actually a real estate developer in Chicago.
Oh, he
so
was?
he would build apartment buildings.
Okay.
And then my ex, my daughter's dad, he's a contractor. So I spent a lot of time with him, like rehabbing properties.
So you got both sides.
So this is when I was actually in medical sales. This was before insurance. And so I learned a lot about construction. I fell in love with it. I mean, I designed the office that we had.
You did. Yeah. Beautiful office.
Thank you, which looked completely shitty before that. And so I actually really enjoy the creation side, the process side of it. And then the last piece was just kind of, just not just the financial freedom part of it, but like actually scaling something I could step away from. So
the scaling is definitely a challenge.
Yeah.
In many businesses, that's really a limitation.
I feel like a lot of people don't understand, even with my business, where I'm good at it. I know it frontwards, backwards, side, all the way around. But if I'm still actively in the business and I'll hit 5 years this coming October that I came here and built this company from scratch. I mean, even though it's still making money, I'm still in the business. So now, even for me, it's starting to scale where, okay, cool, like making a certain amount of money so I can start to put people in position. If I have to, delegate them, that's fine. And at this point, delegation is important because you don't have to, if you're still actively in the business, you don't own a business, you own a job.
Yeah, you're basically
and
self-employed.
Yeah, and it's one of the things, of course, in the insurance industry, the company we were at, the drawback was, unless you have people like Patty or admins or things like that, you don't have any actual employees.
Yeah.
So you
got a bunch of volunteer
exactly. So like
again,
which is volunteer army. It's like it's great, but then it can be bad where it's like even if you had employees are driven by money.
Right.
Yeah.
A lot of the times, providing for their family, where it's like, don't fight for me, fight for your family.
Right.
Yeah.
And now, it's one of the things where you don't have actual employees. You have, again, like you were saying, a volunteer army. It's hard to get behind somebody which, although you don't fight for me, that's fine. But you're not fighting for your family, then of course you're not going to fight for me.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And that was another thing for me too was, as the broker, one of the brokers in the office, like you're constantly like pouring into people and like trying to develop, and like it's hard because sometimes you want more for them than they want for themselves or that they're 100%. Willing to do.
Exactly.
Yep.
And there is like, I believe in leadership fatigue. Like it was very
100%.
draining.
It is real.
It's very
100%.
draining. But then you think, okay, why do you want to do that? Why do you want so many agents? Because it's about distribution, right?
Yeah.
So then, okay, I can still get distribution instead of out of a person. It could be out of a door. And the door is just a door. It's not going to talk back to me.
Yeah.
It's not going to piss me off.
Exactly.
It's a fucking door.
I don't want to make these phone calls.
Right. I don't have to train the door. I don't have to so still getting the distribution, but this time instead of through people, it's through doors. So that's kind of where.
That's very interesting. So you found that it was easier moving from people that are inherently problematic. They've got their own hang-ups, their own problems, their own limiting beliefs, their own misconceptions, all this baggage that they bring into the situation, to inanimate objects, which have none of that baggage.
Right.
And it might be more difficult to acquire them. And that was part of my transition. I found that inadvertently, as I was making sales online and e-commerce, it's a lot easier, unfortunately, and this is a sad state of American affairs, it's much easier to sell people shit that they don't need than it is to sell them financial services that they do.
Right. That's
like
true.
It's like pulling teeth trying to get someone to make a beneficial change.
Life insurance, like everyone needs it, but they don't want to.
Nobody wants to do it. But I promise you, I put the newest pair of Jordans out for 10% below retail.
It's all over it, yeah.
And they're
crazy.
gone
Priorities
in a minute.
The first thing that they always think is, well, I'm not gonna be here. It's not for majority. Is not for you.
Right.
So unless you have bare bones minimum $10K for your family going to drop on, because I mean, it's unfortunate where you're trying to, get someone that they don't understand. Well, I'm not going to be here. I'm like, exactly. Like, how many people have $10K to drop on a funeral? I mean, unfortunately, my father passed in 2014, and we had nothing.
Yeah.
So the cheapest option was cremation. So for the longest, I mean, he looks like me. So, eventually I'm gonna look like him.
Right.
So, and that I took a picture of him, on a metal slab. And that was the last picture I have of him. But it was $300, and I mean, it's most of my family's been buried, things of that nature, which is it's just tradition. So I get all that, but a lot of people don't understand that, especially when you're young and value life insurance, where it's like, I mean, you're not going to live forever. Yeah. And especially, I'm down here by myself, so I've not necessarily been in a whole bunch of situations, but I'm a lot more active with my family as far as communicate with them. I was kind of just living my own life. I feel a little like bad about this, but I almost acted like I didn't, not on purpose, but like I was just living my own life. I didn't have brothers or sisters or things like that. As far as social media, going on and letting them know, I'm like, I could have went out and anything could have happened. They wouldn't have known nothing. Yeah. So it's one of the things now that I'm more cognizant of, but it's one time like that. To JP's point, it's selling somebody something that they don't need. People jump at that where you're trying to sell something to someone that they actually need, that's actually going to benefit them in the long run, and it's literally like pulling teeth where they're like, I know I need this, but I'm going to wait. Yeah, that purse looks better. Or...
It's crazy because people buying things that they need, that forces them to confront an inconvenient truth. Like if I'm buying life insurance, I've had that internal conversation. At some point, I'm going to die. Like I'm not going to be here. Like I'm going to be gone. There are going to be people here that I care about. What are they going to do? Mm-hmm. And I need to plan for that. Nobody wants to think about that. That's not fun. No. But if you think about, I'm going to go buy these new basketball shoes. Yeah, then I'm going to be able to jump like LeBron. Like, no, you're not.
No, you ain't.
Like people are much more apt to embrace a lie than they are a painful truth. Like, give me a pleasant lie over a painful truth.
Beautiful
and
lies.
I would spend all of my money on that.
I mean, that they are.
Tell me beautiful lies.
Now, it's funny that like life insurance and both real estate, a lot of people talk about that in terms of building wealth, like generational wealth, legacy building, and things like that. So with what you're doing in the real estate, arena, you're able to speak to how you're able to build that kind of long-term wealth versus what you were doing in insurance and financial services.
Yeah. So and don't get me wrong too when I say like I don't want to help people. Like I still am gonna like work with people and like help people and stuff like that, right? I mean, hey, let's build a fucking Trump empire, except it'll be a Rist empire, right? Yeah, right. So, but no, absolutely. So for me, like you're talking like vision wise, like where I see it going. Yeah. So a couple different things. Actually, a few different things. So one, I eventually want to build like multifamily. So like right now I'm flipping, I'm doing short-term rentals, long-term rentals. Yeah. Eventually when, supply issues get better and cost of goods and things like that go down, because everything in real estate is supply and demand. Yeah. And right now you're seeing a switch where it's more expensive to buy a house than it is to rent, right? And so, because the interest rates and things like that.
Yeah, almost to 7%.
Yeah, it's crazy. No, they're up 15% year over year now at this point. So it's
prices,
the prices are, and then a lot of people are getting priced out of the market right now because the interest rates are going up and up. Even though they're still at historically lows, they're still expensive.
In the grand scheme of things.
For people that could have afforded a house in January when rates were 3%, now they can't because now they're double. They're like 6.1%.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm getting off on a tangent, but but the vision is to eventually build long-term or build multifamily housing for long-term rentals. Well, and I want to build a lot of them. And luckily for us, we're in Jacksonville, which we do. We need more. We don't have enough housing in general.
No, they're buying up. You have a lot of and I don't mean to cut you off.
No,
but,
you're fine.
There's a lot of people where they'll look at, let's not say you as an investor, and they're like, you're the devil. And I'm like, no, the corporations that's buying 20, 30, 40,
BlackRock,
Berkshire Hathaway.
Yeah, I'm buying a couple here and there. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah. Well, here's the cool thing about where the market is going. I would say 2024, 2025.
Okay.
The awesome thing is that a lot of people that were buying these big multifamily properties, they're starting to be fearful. And so competition is going to slowly trickle away. So it's a really good time to actually get in because all those guys that were buying all those properties, now they're not. So I'm going to end up buying multifamily for value add where I can, renovate it or whatever, increase the rents over time and then hold it for X amount of period and then either sell it or whatever. But it's a good time for that. But getting back to the question, definitely the multifamily long term. I want to build a company, so I will still have people. They just won't be 1099 people. So it'll be a little bit easier to manage, I think.
W-2 family.
W-2 family, okay. Exactly. So still having the people that are going to run the system that's being created currently.
Of course.
And then I want to eventually do events and things like that where, I can gather a lot of people in one place. Not just to talk about real estate, but let's talk about your entire, everything from physical health to mental health to emotional to everything that affects,
especially here in Florida,
your quality of life.
Your quality of life in general. Yeah. So let's say, JP or Aaron, you guys are like, hey, I want to get into real estate investing. Well, it's not just about real estate investing. How do you improve your life as a whole?
Yeah.
So if I can bring, improving everybody's life as a whole into the real estate investing and marrying it, that's kind of where I would like to be and be able to host those events, 2, 3, 4 years down the road from now. So it'll take a few years to get to that point to build the credibility and the trust to be able to do that. But that's the long-term vision for where I'm going. And then who knows where it goes after that.
I got a pretty good. This sounds like the perfect platform to then launch into a political career down the road. Because
no
you're now known in the community.
No
politics for you.
No. I keep it real. I don't like bullshit. I don't like.
Same.
You know what I mean?
This sounds like a perfect guest for the round table. Because remember, we had a former politician.
Yes.
And that was exactly the mantra. He said,
I don't like
I
that.
will not go into politics until I can self-fund a campaign because I'm not going to be beholden to anyone. I'm going to say what's real.
Yeah.
And if you want to vote for me, great. If not, I'm not going to tell you lies.
I don't play. I just don't like fakeness in general. So I just can't. I can't do the political route.
And I'm curious in the next couple of years, of course, the company that we're all connected to. I'm curious to see how many of those are be in the politics. Says we're gonna have presidents and blah blah blah.
Yeah. No, and that's the thing. The vision.
It could happen.
I do think it'll happen because there's already a couple there that are already on their way.
That I can see. Definitely.
Yeah. So I think that'll happen. I still believe in the fundamental vision of the company. It's just not my path anymore.
I get it. But it's also just of course, have you ever watched Scandal?
No.
Okay.
I've heard a lot about it.
Okay, so it's one of the things where it's fine. You have, your beliefs and everything. Once you get there, what are you going to do? are you going to still stay true?
Right.
That's like anything else.
That's a fair point. Like you can have local politicians that stick to their guns, and but it's like once you get to a certain level, it's really hard to find somebody operating any time at a national level
unless you have the money. And then a lot of times, if you don't have the money, you're going to have to concede in certain places.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what it is.
Yep.
Yeah.
Very true.
So we'll be avoiding politics then. That's what I hear.
No
That's
politics.
the takeaway.
No politics. No.
Real estate, yes. Politics, no. You heard it here first.
Yes. Now watch. No, I'm just kidding. Never.
You know, the internet, it never goes away. So.
Yeah, right.
I know, right?
Yeah, until,
But then again, I mean, look at Trump. Trump had a whole interview talk about, I'm going to go and I'm going to trick Republicans because they're stupid. And it worked. That video came out, he still got elected. So
That's crazy.
You can say anything.
Yeah.
If it's time for you to win, it's time for you to win.
Okay.
I have zero desire. We'll just put it like that. Currently.
So I know you say you're not doing a whole bunch of businesses, but I know upon, Rist Estates, you've also got into networking, One Team Jacks.
Mm-hmm.
So as much networking as collectively we've done over these last couple of years.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What was it? Ours was business groups.
Yeah, that was fun. I forgot about that. It was fun.
Yeah.
That was good.
So what made you want to start your own networking event?
Yeah, group. Yeah, so I think for me it was just trying to find something cool to do after COVID, because pre-COVID we had a couple of really cool events. We had Network After Work, which was fun. Remember Sweet?
Yeah.
So we would always go to
R.I.P.
Sweet. Yeah, and then there was one other group that I can never remember the name of, but it was really fun, really cool. And then
Was it Young Professionals?
yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
It was
I used to go to there.
There's a couple fun groups, and then so anyway, I was like, okay, I got to get back out and network, because I haven't done that in like a couple years, because you're in the office all the time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well,
like you're building the agency.
Yeah.
You're just not out there like that.
And then also like the same thing, even with I would say Chris, where you had so many numbers to where.
So many numbers.
Books
and books and books.
Yeah, you had so many numbers where it was anything you went outside extra, where it wasn't, you weren't networking. Like it got to the point, I'm sure with you or even with me, it almost got to the point where I have so many numbers, and it's kind of like I'm going out to places, and like I'm not wasting going out to places.
Right.
Where it's like I'm gonna grab somebody, somebody like you.
I'm gonna go to the grocery store and get a number.
Exactly.
I'm gonna go to the gas station and get a number.
Exactly.
And a pub sub.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's it. You can't forget the pub sub.
Of course. So, for you, what was out of all the networking events you went to? What did you want to make yours different?
Yeah. Well, okay. So in getting back, so it was like, okay, well, how can we find something? So initially, I was like, okay, let's just. I'll just find like a BNI or something, right?
Yeah.
That was like my initial thought. And I was like, but if you look at every single BNI chapter, there's always an insurance person and there's always a financial person.
Yeah.
Right?
And
before the chapter starts, that position's already taken.
It's already done. Check, right? So then I was like, okay, well, somebody was like, well, why don't you just like start your own BNI? So I was like, oh, okay. So I went online, I did the whole thing, I submitted the inquiry, called, left messages, nothing. Nobody would ever get back to me. So I was like, fuck it, I'm just going to start my own group.
Okay.
How about that? Yeah.
And so I started the group. The very first event I had was October, but even like 3-4 months prior to that, I was like constantly on Facebook, like connecting with people in the community, sending just having coffees and, just building up like a new list of like contacts.
Yeah,
right?
of course.
Of people that were in the community that I didn't know. So when we had that first event, it was a great turnout. We had about 40 people there.
Nice.
And it's just continued every single month. And so my thing was, let's bring the community together post-COVID in a fun environment where, for some reason, I just attract just various, just a very diverse group of people.
That you do.
So you could be young, you could be old, you could be black, you could be white, you could be Asian, you could be purple, you could be, financial, you could be engineering. I don't know. So it's been a really cool mix of people that have come out. And then it kind of turned into getting sponsors, and then it turned into Yeah, and then it turned into, okay, well, let's have, let's highlight like one business a month.
Okay.
And let those guys kind of be like, the focal point of it. So it's been really cool, very diverse. We've, last event we had, or the one before, we had like 80, 90 people.
Wow.
So it's really grown and people enjoy going. And the cool thing too is it's always new people because I'm always connecting with new people. And then always the new sponsor will also bring new people. So it's been awesome. And people are actually doing business together, which I like to hear.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure people are coming and actually getting value and doing business together. So that's what I talk about every time. Yeah, and they do. It's fun.
So what I feel like the success was because, you come from, medical sales and, things of that nature. But even like when I met you initially, of course, I was
I'm sorry, English?
Sorry. Sorry.
Do you speak it?
No. Okay. All right. I'm going to speak up. I was like, okay, like, oh. I was like, wait, who the hell is that? It's like, oh, that's Bianca. Sorry. Okay.
He's like, where is he going with this?
No.
Yeah,
So,
I'm just along for the ride.
no. So what I mean by that is when you have, like, I know you're intelligent, but of course, you look nice.
Thank you.
So, and what I've always admired and I've liked about you is you have a lot of people that you've never, that was not, like, what you look like is not who you are.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just something that complements, as far as your work ethic and things like that, because as I have to put certain, no people out there, but there's a lot of people that, they wouldn't be hustling, they wouldn't be moving the way, you would be moving if they looked like you. I'm just giving it a buck.
Okay.
To where, it was something that was always, I admired, and always, because it's, a lot of people, it's like, just, use their looks or things like that to kind of get what they want, either whether it's station, whether it's position, things of that nature. And that was something to where that was never a focal point. That was just something where this is intelligent, dope, and a showstopper. So.
Thank you. Wow, I feel special.
I try. But so for you now, as far as the ups, the lows, trials and tribulations, everything else in between, if you could tell your younger self anything that would have caused you less drama, caused you less pain, what would that be?
Honestly, just be more confident in yourself and your abilities, and like always count on you. Like always know that no matter what happens around you, or any of that stuff, like the one person that you can count on is you, which I think gives yourself a lot of confidence, because a lot of times we get caught up in trying to control circumstances or trying to control situations, and you can't control that stuff. But if you can count on you and you can bet on yourself, I think that's where true confidence comes from, regardless of what happens when shit hits the fan, or even when you're doing well. But to obviously, like, still be humble about that, regardless of how well you're doing and all that stuff. So I think that would be the biggest thing for me if I could go back.
So, kind of on a somewhat similar or pseudo-related note, I know that during the course of going through our business trials and tribulations in the financial services industry, when you get really focused on entrepreneurship, and the first guy I ever spoke to about it, who had nothing to do with financial insurance, he was actually in real estate. He was like, look, one thing you're going to notice when you get focused on entrepreneurship and bettering yourself, your friend circles, they're going to shift. There's people in your life right now you spend a lot of time with, but when you start focusing on trying to better yourself, some of those relationships break down. And I know that all of us, whether that's friends or family, had certain people that, kind of faded away, as we went down that path. Now that we've all, for different reasons and in different fields, transitioned kind of out of that have any of those relationships kind of come back around? Like, was that the issue, or have you found that even though you've branched out and like kind of moved on, a lot of those same people still are not, a big part of the picture?
That's a good question. No, my circle is so small. Even though I do the networking events and things like that, I mean, I can count on one hand the number of people that I actually spend time with outside of anything like business or any of that stuff. Now, what I will say is, since getting into real estate, and I won't say completely, because there's still some people that I'll talk to here and there, but as far as like actually spending time, it's still a really small circle. And like, they say entrepreneurship is lonely. Yeah, it is. Like, I don't have people anymore where I could just be like, hey, like, let's go do this. Like, I have like maybe 2, and then which I'm fine with. But I will say, since getting into real estate, a lot of people have started reaching back out. Like, people that I would network with like 4, 5, 6 years ago, even when I was getting into insurance. Yeah, they're starting to reach out. Like, hey, can you help me? Can you teach me? Can we talk about what you're doing? Like, that sort of thing. But as far as like personal time, it's still a very small circle, and I'm happy with that. I like that.
Interesting. Very interesting.
What I would say about that is, unfortunately, I mean, we all know insurance has the worst marketing. So, and it's funny where, I mean, we know hundreds of realtors where, average realtor is making 3%. The house is not going to close for anywhere from 30 to 90 days. Their clients don't get keys, sign everything, they don't get paid. But if you were to get your real estate license right now, they're like, wait, you're in real estate? But then compared to when you were in insurance,
everyone's like, I was just thinking that too.
Ownership is the American dream, though. Life insurance is not the American dream. Like dying and passing money to your family, that's not the American dream. That's
what I was literally thinking earlier today. No joke. I was like, man, when I was in insurance, none of y'all were reaching out to me like, hey, can I learn what you're doing? Yeah. But now real estate, it's like everyone's like, hey, can I learn what you're doing? It's like crazy.
It's the same. Mike Jones back then.
And like the funny thing is, I'm sure you've talked to like real estate agents. I can't remember, especially when we were like actively recruiting and things like that, and they thought it was the best thing since sliced bread, which is like, you do realize we do the same thing.
Right.
The only issue is, and I'm gonna say this to the camera: if you're
it's serious.
If you're in insurance, right, and you want to work in other states, only thing you got to do, go on NIPR and buy the license. You know what you want to do when you want to go and do real estate in another state? Every single state you have to take the test. I only had to take it twice because I failed the first time. But again,
full transparency.
Yeah.
Full transparency. But there's no difference. It's the craziest thing where, and I still haven't seen better marketing. I mean, I've seen the videos and things like that, but what do you feel like would have to happen in the insurance industry to be able to see in like the real estate industry?
Ooh, that is a good question.
Point, right now.
That is a really good question. I think our firm is trying its best to make it, what do we say, like bring sexy back to the insurance industry, make it cool again, make it cool. Like, I think you would have to see a lot. I think you would have to see a lot of insurance, a lot of millionaires in the space. A lot of them, though, not just
but like people ostentatious type, not like the millionaire next door who drives a Camry and clips coupons. Not that guy.
Right.
You need the people who are like Logan Paul, like the Lambo drivers, the people who are on YouTube, the influencers. You would need that.
And you'd have to see it everywhere, because why did people? I mean, I'll never get my insurance or my real estate license.
Yeah.
But why did people want to get it? Because
$1 million reels.
Yeah, because $1 million listing. $1 million listing is really cool.
How many life insurance shows they have on HGTV?
Right, and you know what?
I ain't seen one.
Right, and when I was in the industry, I was like, why don't we have an insurance show where they show like, oh, you sell one policy and you can make 6 figures off of this one
I mean,
policy.
let's be honest. Could you watch an hour of Flow?
Of what?
Or the Geico Gecko? Can you sit there and watch a whole hour of Flow?
No.
No.
I mean, somebody would literally have to come along and like make a really cool show, like an MTV type thing, where it's like sexy, or like Bravo.
You'd have to put like drama into insurance.
Drama.
People get passionate about real estate. Like there's drama involved. There's a creative element. Like you can't put terrazzo floors on an insurance policy.
I think you'd be a lot of lifetimes away, honestly, between because we know too much now, and nobody sees insurance as like cool. Like it's not.
I feel like it's
sexy.
It's not tangible too.
Yeah,
where
that's
where
a
it's
good point.
But I feel like even like you have finance bros where I'm making money in finance, and most people don't even know what they do. Where it's like
they don't care.
And they think about you're in finance. Most people go straight to the market. They don't go to, whether it's private securities or Merrill Lynch or things like that. And it's something where it's, but again, I mean, it comes down to, you're going to have to see, like, most people, I would say, we're around the same age, but the younger generation is not going to care about Monte Carlo or Sheena's Apollo and things like that. They care about,
the
Lambo and things like
the
that.
Rolex, the Birkin bag.
Yes, and we know a couple people that
Rist.
whether they're with the company now or not, that are the flashy and
Yeah.
I mean, that's cool. That's marketing 101.
I think it would just take a lot to be able to get. It would have to be a really cool show, and even then, I mean, it's just not like a cool. Mostly everybody kind of stumbles into insurance. It's not like you grew up being like, oh, I want to be an insurance
And the
agent.
thing is, too, like even when you're successful in insurance, unless you're doing like $1 million rollover, you're not getting that one like 5-figure check, and you're like, hey, look at this. Real estate, that's not an uncommon practice. Like if you're selling big dollar properties,
it's volume.
But in insurance, it's volume.
Yeah.
Like you're consistently writing policies. Now they do pay well for like what you do.
Right.
But very rarely do you see people showing off those giant insurance checks from a single policy. So like America is the land of the shortcut. Yeah. Everybody wants it yesterday. Nobody wants to work for it. Nobody wants to wait. Yeah. Like if I have to study and get a license, and I have to have a clear record as far as financial crimes, and I have to jump through all these hoops. Do I want to get a license where I got to sell 10 policies to make 10 grand, or do I want to get a license where I can sell one house and make 10 grand?
Yeah.
Now the reality is the average realtor sells less than one house a year.
Yeah.
So 10 grand is still below the poverty line.
And that took you how long? I mean, 30, 60, 90 days to do it.
Exactly.
Now on the investment side, it's different because we pick up a property and we're not waiting 30 days. We're like, you literally have to close within 7 days. So you're getting your money from different sources. It's not, you're not going through the bank. You're doing hard money, you're doing cash, you're doing private equity. And you're not going to a bank to close. So that's why you can do so much more from an investor standpoint than you can from a real estate agent standpoint, which is why I would never become a real estate agent.
And you ran headfirst right into my next question, which is, people hear real estate investor, they hear property development, they hear Rist Estates. They see the glitter dripping down off the signage, right? And they're thinking, oh man, okay, so the first thing I got to do is I got to get my real estate license. Then I got to, so could you kind of talk about, maybe some of the misconceptions that people might have as far as being a real estate investor, like what the practical reality is of it, as far as getting started, what you need, what you don't need, what's helpful, what's not helpful?
People think you need credit. You don't. People think you need money. Believe it or not, you don't. People think that you need a real estate license. You don't. Those are, I would say, like the 3 biggest things that hold people back is credit, money, and then thinking that they need a license. You don't need any of that to get started in real estate.
You just need to know people.
So from a credit perspective, there's a lot of hard money lenders where they don't care about your credit. They just care about the property itself, because they're going to give you the loan, and if you default on it, they're going to take it back anyway, right?
Yeah.
Now there are hard money lenders that do care about credit. You can leverage somebody else's credit to do that for you. So that's the credit piece of it. The money piece of it. Anytime you're getting, let's say you're getting a property from the MLS, which I don't, I get mine all off market. But any property from the MLS, you're gonna have to put down a binder, which is a 1%. So, if you're buying a $100,000 property, you're only having to put $1,000 down. Now you can get that $1,000 from yourself, or you can leverage somebody else's money for that. If you're going off market, which is what I do, you're typically buying from wholesalers and things like that. And the wholesalers are going to require what's called an EMD or earnest money deposit. Those are actually higher than the MLS binder. So you may have to come up with $3,000 to $5,000 depending upon the amount of the house, depending upon the purchase price. But again, you can leverage somebody else to be able to get the money to put down for the EMD and then close on the property. And then the third one, you don't need a license. You could just, buy the property, and then you get a realtor that you trust that's really good to then sell the property for you. Like when you're ready to sell it, if you're flipping it or whatever, if you're not even flipping it, you don't need it. You don't even need a realtor. You just buy the property, rehab it, put it back on the market for long-term rentals or even short-term rentals, and you didn't need a realtor at all.
And so some people, I'm sure, would be thinking to themselves, well, I bought a house, and when we did, my realtor got 3%, right? So if I'm selling a house, why would I utilize the services of a realtor when I could, get that license, I could do that transaction myself and make more money?
Yeah, if you know what you're doing.
What would be...
And what's cool about that too, if you do get the real estate license and you're getting your own properties, you can actually use that 3% commission as your down payment. So now you don't have to do it at all.
Oh.
Isn't that cool?
That's very cool. Not cool enough for you to get a real estate license.
Not cool enough for me to get it. I'm good. I'll just pay somebody else to do that part because I don't want the headache.
And is that because of the big picture thinking? Like that's more nitty gritty details that you don't want to bog yourself down?
I don't care about. I'd just rather leverage. If you're getting into business, you got to leverage time, you got to leverage money, and you can leverage experience as well. So that's the other thing people say, well, I don't know anything about real estate investing. So if I was going to say anything, that would be the fourth one. People think they can't get into it because they don't have experience. You don't need the experience. Just leverage somebody else, and guess what? There's YouTube, there's books. There's more information out there today than ever for anybody to be able to get into real estate investing.
That is true.
So you don't need any of it.
This has the entirety of human knowledge at our fingertips. Most of us use it for TikTok and cat videos. Just saying.
Dog videos.
Your phone, your business.
Right? So that's what I would say, but it's easy.
Did you ever go to any of the RIA meetings or
Jack's
anything
RIA?
like
that? Not yet.
I've heard good things about it. I haven't made my way up. I'm looking to get into investing by the end of this year.
Well, hey, maybe we can do some deals together.
Yeah, maybe so. Oh, there's another thing. Bird dogs. Is that something that you've utilized or
not yet?
Any opinions on that? No, not yet.
Not yet.
So basically, what I'm getting is all the things you think you need, you don't need.
Throw it out the window. You really don't. All you need is a desire to do it. You need to know why you're doing it. You've got to be very clear about that as well. And you've got to have a vision on where you're going with it also. Because if you don't have any of those three things, it's not going to work anyway. So many times people they're fearful. They have, paralysis by analysis.
Yes.
They want to learn. We talked about this in insurance. They want to learn everything about everything before they do anything.
You don't need that.
And you don't need that. You just need to take action. Like literally, that's the only thing that you got to do is just say, okay, this is what I want to do. This is why I want to do it. This is the vision that I have for it. And then go freaking do it. That's it. Easy.
You make it sound easy.
I promise you it is literally that easy. That's what I did. That's how I have.
But you're not the average bait.
But it's kind of what we all do.
I mean, I really am like an average
to an extent,
person.
but there's levels.
There's levels.
I'm an average girl, though. Listen, if I can do it, don't give me that. If I can do it,
you're getting the look. you are definitely getting the look.
If I can do it, anybody can do it.
Hey, she said it, not me.
He doesn't believe me.
I'm saying there's a lot of things out there that a lot of people can do, but the mentality part, like that's
it's
huge.
mental.
And you talked about having more of like a holistic approach to development. Like, hey, I want to get into real estate investing. I want to become an entrepreneur. It's more than, okay, let me study what I need to know about properties. Let me go get an attorney. Let me write up the right contract. No, you have to be in the right state of mind.
Exactly. I always say entrepreneurship is a mindset first and a skill set second. I can teach you the skill set all day long. I can teach you how to evaluate properties. I can teach you, how to find funding. I can teach you, the construction piece of it, because I spend a lot of time doing that. But if you don't have the mindset first, none of it's going to come. So yeah, you gotta work on this first, and then everything else will come.
And if there's anybody out there starting from square zero, is there a book perhaps, or a course, or something that you would recommend that would kind of be like the first stepping stone to somebody who's got, maybe like a lot of limiting beliefs? They've lived their whole life in a cubicle, in a little box, and they're scared to take the red pill and unplug.
Good question. So there's 2 books I read. First, getting started. The first one was called Financial Freedom or Real Estate Investing for Financial Freedom, or Financial Freedom for Real Estate Investing. Don't ask me the author because I'm not 100% sure, but I have the book. I read it twice, actually. And then the second book is Future Flipper by Ryan Pineda. So those were the first 2 books.
Oh, I know Ryan Pineda.
Yeah. So those are the first 2 books that I ever read in real estate. And you just go after it after that.
Okay.
All right.
So Bianca, if anybody's trying to follow you on not only your entrepreneurial journey, but also anywhere else, where would they find you?
Everything's Bianca Rist, so Rist. So Instagram, Bianca Rist 1. TikTok is just Bianca Rist, and then Facebook, Bianca Rist. And then I'm actually starting a YouTube channel, which was never my plan. YouTube was never my plan. Yeah.
Same here.
I actually dreaded YouTube, and I sat down, because I know that it's a lot of work. I know once you start, you can't stop.
Yeah.
It's constant content
That's
creation.
Why I'm with this guy.
Yep. And it's a big feat. It's a really big feat, right? Exactly. But then when I sat down with my content guy, because initially it was like, okay, hey, I need some Instagram and TikToks for this, right? And then he's like, okay, tell me your story, tell me your vision. And once I did that, by the end of it, he was like, okay, I hate to tell you this, but you have to do YouTube. So we're going to start a YouTube channel. We already have a bunch filmed already. It's just a matter of starting to release them. So we're starting to release those twice a week, starting next week, actually.
I feel your pain on that one. My YouTube channel with no videos. So
that, I don't know. I guess I don't know the title of it yet. It'll have my name in it and something else, so we'll see. But
same here. I got to get on mine as well.
Yeah. That's going to be a few, years and years worth of work. We're going to do it.
Is it going to be the Rist Estates YouTube?
I don't know yet. I honestly don't know. We have episodes filmed, but no title, so we'll see.
Well, we got to have a channel name.
Yeah, I know. You guys can help me come up with one.
Well, if they follow you on the rest of your social media, I'm sure when that video drops, you'll go ahead and blast that out to all the other appropriate channels.
Yep, for sure.
So this is another episode of The Street Perspective with my guest host,
JP3, a.k.a. Bushido Driver.
And my lovely guest,
Bianca Rist.
And we're out of here. Later, guys. Peace!